It's the Slam Dunk.
Right, 230 jobs gone because the country's failed to produce affordable electricity. Our munted power network, which I've spoken about at length here on this program, is now responsible for 230 good, well-paid jobs being lost. 3 small towns and 230 families got the gut-wrenching news yesterday, and it's not like there are another 230 jobs waiting for them. This is Taihape, this is Aotearoa, and this is Ohakuni. 230 people affected, yet in truth it's many, many more because that's just a headline number. Then there's families behind them, and behind them, and behind them, generations. 2 sawmills in the central North Island will close because the spot price of energy in New Zealand makes it impossible to turn a dollar for these sawmills. They can't make money. And they can't afford to turn the lights on and stay open. What a disaster for New Zealand. Where do we now go? We no longer have the security of our power supply to keep people in jobs. We don't have enough power to keep the lights on. This is the truth. This is the third world stuff. How do you grow an economy if you can't afford to open the doors each morning? We are stuffed when the equation looks like this. It's more than 230 jobs too, because some families have 2 or 3 generations in there. There's grandfather, the son, and his son, all in these sawmills. Forget the treaty principles, Bill. This matters way more to real Māori on the ground than any waffle from Seymour. 230 jobs gone, and the others affected, which number in their hundreds. Their families, the local butcher, the dairy, the petrol station, all these associated businesses, because guess what? It's $30 million in wages that are pumped into these communities, Taihape, Ohakuni and Aotearoa. They'll be gone forever shortly. Lost because we can't produce competitively priced power. We used to own ECNZ. We split it up into those 4 companies and then charged it at market rates, and they said competition's coming, it'll drop prices. It hasn't done that. It hasn't rained, so our renewables aren't working, and we're burning dirty coal to stay warm and alive. This is negligence from successive governments for failing to plan and build when it needed to. This is profiteering from the companies, and you just heard it there from Andy, he's with Electric Kiwi, $600 million in 7 weeks in profit. Imagine getting that. Look at your own pay. Over 6 weeks. It ain't $700 million. This is profiteering from the companies who failed to keep money back and invest in new generation. $2.7 billion was the record profit last year. $8 billion in the last 10 years has gone to shareholders, New Zealanders. So they've done well. It's in their back pocket. Where on earth are the new projects? 5 ministers got involved to save these jobs, but they all failed to come up with a plan to save one job. They couldn't save one job, 5 ministers. There's a joke in that, isn't there? No, the choice is the benefit for them now, or go to Australia and leave family behind. It's heart-wrenching, gut-wrenching stuff. If I was one of these workers, I'd demand the government show up in our small town for a public meeting to report back on why they couldn't give us subsidised power, like they do with the global superpower Rio Tinto in Bluff. We give them cheaper power, so they stay in business. What about our own companies here? I don't believe that government should step in to save businesses, but they do have a role to play in setting the framework for businesses to thrive and survive. They set the rules and the regulation so these businesses can play the long game. It's an unmitigated disaster, and this government's known about it for months and months, and still it's closing. Far too many jobs are being shed in New Zealand, and what's worse, in this instance, the government stepped in and looked totally ineffective. The worst bit is this. It's a Malaysian company, and Chris Luxon was recently in Malaysia. And do you think he met the company and reassured them he'd sort it? Of course not. There's a stupid social media post to make probably, and he's over there doing that. Instead, he should have rolled his sleeves up, made a surprise visit to the HQ of this company, and I reckon he could have pulled something off, like a good outcome that he talks about. But we will never know because these guys are so far removed from the real issues and the real people and the real struggle. Yet with some creativity, he could have pulled up outside their offices, introduced himself as Christopher Luxon, and done a deal. But that'd mean being in touch and on the ground, wouldn't it? And when Foreign Affairs is running your program, prepare to be underwhelmed and kept away from all the real issues, I reckon. What a lost chance. Now 230 ordinary Kiwis face the hardest decisions of their lives, to head to Aussie or sign up to the dole. It's that stark in these small towns, and in those small towns, it just got that little bit darker.